Yo, what up, and welcome back to Pinoy News, man. Listen, it's Sunday night. Usually me and Max do a stream, but Max had to bow out tonight. So I'm here with my boy TK Mal, and I'm probably going to have a couple other cats stop through as the things go on. You know, I mean, it is what it is. It's how it works. But I'd like to say, what up to Enclave Harden and Fishmel and Fun Under the Cars of Kids who've come out so far tonight. And I mean, it's nice to see people coming out and supporting the channel, things of this nature. And TK Mal, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I definitely could be worse.
Yeah, I feel you. Like life could suck a whole lot more. You know what I mean? just being honest with you, you know. But it is what it is. Fishmel said that he has some videos up on his channel. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna have the live chat replay on this bitch. So like, you know, if you're watching this, you know, I mean, afterwards, or if you're watching this right now, make sure you go over to Fishmel's channel and check out those videos. And see what it was like, and I mean, down in DC, whatever the case might be, and I mean, whoever stuff was going, you know, I'm not real sure exactly what popped off altogether down there because I wasn't there, but I know the news is losing its goddamn mind. Like, you're legit. Yeah, have you noticed this, TK? How like they're treating this like it's fucking 9/11 or something?
Yeah. Are you aware of Whitney Webb in general?
Not really.
All right. So Whitney Webb is, I bet, the best way to describe her is a crazy bitch. She runs a website called Unlimited Hangout, and I would just recommend anybody go check that out at any point in general, unlimitedhangout.com. She is convinced that all of this election fraud nonsense that Trump and Rudy Giuliani and nonsense was what's called a modified limited hangout, which is basically like what they do when the CIA or whatever leaks info to Alex Jones, which is they kind of sprinkle in real information into all the crazy shit to just kind of discredit the whole thing, right? And to be honest, the more that I look at shit, the more that I think that she is really, really right. The more that I think that she and a lot of other people are right in that a lot of this stuff is at least partially staged. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't a whole bunch of Q magatards who definitely fucking stormed the Capitol because they thought that they, well, basically crowd mentality type thing. There are a bunch of videos out there showing cops literally letting people past, and go for it.
Like that's all right. Yeah, see, like I've actually read some articles where, like, you know, I mean, they're actually they have troops and, you know, I mean, military individuals, you know, I mean, who are being investigated for helping the fucking rioters out and things of this nature. And I'll be honest with you, yo, it would not surprise me if, like, legitimately, like, the CIA bumped this up some in order to, how do I put this, help discredit the Trump movement as a whole, right? Because they do it in other countries is my problem, right? That's really where, you know what I mean, like it really gets down to for me, right? Like, it's just, I know what they do in Cambodia, I know what they do in, you know, I mean, South America, like I know what they do all over the world, and I know how they operate. And in knowing how they operate, like, it's just, I know exactly what they do. Now the problem is the reasons why, right? And that's right. The issue that I come down to. All right, Rod Seller, yes, we did have freedom at one point, right? And this is the problem that we're coming down to today, is that, all right, so the thing is there has been a lot of fucking leeway given on that freedom question in the past probably 20 years that, you know, has taken major steps backwards in the liberty ideology, right? If you're a liberty-minded individual, if you're a freedom-minded individual, then, you know, thinking about it in the manner of, you know, like fucking what happened to our freedom as a whole. You know what I mean? Like you got to stand here and go, man, listen, like there's been a lot of big power grabs by the government over the past 20 years. Right. And the first one, you know, I mean, that really comes to mind as far as I'm concerned is the Patriot Act. You know what I mean? These is things that, you know, like I really, really was like I was against like the whole way. At no point did I ever support any of the Patriot Act or the Homeland Security or any of the TSA bullshit. And people just let it slide by like it wasn't shit. Do you remember that back in like the 2000s, man, when everybody was like having this conversation about this?
Yeah. I remember being a Ron Paul type of person in the like 2008, 2012 type region. And I remember just saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't just bomb random people in the Middle East just because they happen to live there. And I do remember being called, you know, an anarchist and all that kind of bullshit for that.
Well, I remember, you know what I'm saying, back then, like they were discrediting everybody by calling them conspiracy theorists. The moment, you know, I mean, you said, you know, like the government isn't going to use the Patriot Act properly, or, you know, like all this like overstepping of our government, you know, I mean, our government's bounds and things of this nature was unpatriotic. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, like you were a traitor to the country if you didn't believe that, you know, we needed to go and like, you know, monitor every mosque in America. And, you know, like, oh man, we're not going to use this on the regular people. And then WikiLeaks came out and showed that, yes, you know what I'm saying? They have NSA facilities that are watching every phone call you make and every email you make and, you know, I mean, all the stuff that you do. Right.
Right.
And so,
And,
you know, I mean, yeah, with all that, like you have to start like having this conversation about like, holy shit, how much freedom has been taken from us. You know what I mean? And like, why doesn't anyone care?
I feel you. Like before I get into anything else here, I would like to point out that the term conspiracy theorist is a conspiracy theory. Like,
You ain't wrong.
like I'm not even playing right here because like the term conspiracy theorist was literally a psyop to basically discredit anyone who doesn't follow the official narrative. I could get into detail here, but I don't have everything like up in front of me right now. But I don't think I really need to make my case to the people we're talking to on this. The other thing that I would like to point out is that in the last year or two, or four, I forget which, the powers that be, like all the people in Congress and all that, have been making not so subtle movements to switch the Patriot Act powers and all these anti-terrorism powers to from Islamic terrorism to what they call domestic terrorism. Like just as an example, the director of Homeland Security and a lot of these people have started saying that white supremacist terrorism is the greatest terrorist threat to the United States, and the database in which that they like cite to back up those claims literally classifies the 9/11 terrorist attacks as white supremacist terrorist attacks. Like I'm not even joking on that. So,
I mean, all right. So, okay. So this is all right, man. I gotta stand here and look at this. You know, I mean, like, you know, the way like I always look at everything and go like, you know, like why are they standing here doing this? Right. Because like I'll be honest with you, like I saw like they had for a long time been standing here switching it over from, you know, I mean, like Islamic terrorists to white supremacy over and over and over again in like their ways of going, oh man, you know, the Muslims aren't so bad and Islam isn't so bad, you know, I mean, da 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 da, you know, it's like, you know, we're attacked more by, you know, homegrown terrorists and all these type of things, and domestic terrorists more than we are by any type of, you know, I mean, outside powers, and you know, immigration is good for us and all this type of shit. So
at the same time that they're expanding the definition of white supremacy from, you know, lynching black people to literally saying it's okay to be white, right?
Well, the okay to be white thing was a recent move, right? That was that 4chan troll thing that they fucking did. And I'm fucking proud of them boys for getting it done, right? Doku, what up, man? Yo, the link's in the Discord. You want to join, right? And I'm proud of them boys for that. And you know what I mean? And the Islam is right about women meme, because that was a fucking beautiful one as well, right?
Islam is right about women.
I know, but like it was a beautiful, beautiful reaction that they got on the news to that. If I can just be honest, like watching the people stand here and admit, like, I don't know what it means, but I don't like it, and literally putting that on the news, like women actually saying that, like it's a fucking Simpson episode. It was beautiful, exposing their retardation. It was the greatest thing I had ever seen in my entire life when it comes down to it, you know. So bravo to them guys for getting it done. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking super proud of them for all that type of shit. But you know, the expression of white supremacy and racism has been expanded, and the reason is because of the fact that they want to bring in more immigrants to continue to prop up the population so they can continue the expansionary policies needed to continue, you know what I mean, with the capitalistic ventures and the social programs that they have right now. That's really what this is about. Joshua, man, what up, man? Welcome, my brother. Nice to see you out here. Johnny Boy, Radical Bearded Bicyclist, Dark Star, my brother. How the fuck you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's definitely the prime monetary factor that is going on, but I think you would be blind to say that there's not also like ideological factors that are going on as well, because like
I don't think there is, and that's my problem.
No, like my problem here is that like I don't know whether it's a chicken or an egg type scenario, right? I don't know.
They're like, yo, for real. Like, all right, so it's not that. It's okay. It's really simple. All right, so it's very basic. Without more people, capitalism fucking collapses. Right? It's a very simple premise, right? You have to have an exponential growth of your population so you can continue to give out loans to more people, right? And you can continue to have your social programs to prop up this bullshit fucking capitalistic state that we have right now, because like, you know, they don't want to pay people, so they literally use the federal welfare fucking benefits as part of their fucking pay structure in most of these most of these companies. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to, you know, I mean, if you don't have more people, you're not going to be able to continue to pay for all these things in perpetuity in the future, is the problem.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I feel you, but I also am on like the whole train where I feel like for the last 100 years or so that our language has been deliberately changed in such a way that makes these types of conversations basically impossible, right?
Well, no, you can have it from an economic standpoint.
No,
right?
no. I feel you if we're talking from like a first principles type of standpoint, right?
Well, no. I mean, like,
and
here's the problem again. Like, we have to get back to, all right, so you have to be smart enough to have this conversation from the economics and leave the race bullshit out of it. Right? It's important that you don't look at it as a white man who's going to have his kids grow up around a lot of dark faces. Right? You got to leave that at the door, and you have to approach it from an economic standpoint and understand that the moneyed interests in this country, you know, I mean, they want poorer workers to come in so they can pay them less wages and they can continue to have their system be, you know, I mean, exponentially expanded so that they'll stand here and they'll sign up for loans for homes and mortgages and rents and cars that, you know, I mean, they can barely afford, and they're going to live paycheck to paycheck the rest of their lives. And the American people are going to continue to compete with the rest of the world on a pay scale so they can drag us down, so they can keep running their fucking structures that they have and keep printing money in perpetuity. You know, I mean, no matter what happens. This is a very simple premise, but it's very, very technical at the same point. But it leaves all of the race shit out of it. It leaves all the garbage of, you know, I mean, the gobbledygook of, you know, I mean, like, you know, Africa and China and all this garbage out of it. What it does is it just says, hey, look, I mean, the truth is that they're using immigration to prop up capitalism so that they can continue to run these schemes in perpetuity, because instead of fixing our currency problem and fixing our spending problem, we would much rather continue to fix the fact that we're not having more kids. It's that basic.
All right. Yeah. I am like, if you're taking everything just on face value with what you said, I do not disagree with anything you said, right? The issue is where we start talking about what capitalism means, what socialism means, what communism means. All of those are what I would classify as fucking spook words. All of them are loaded with ideological ideas, and it's almost to the point where if you say any one of them, any meaning that you impart actually just is overwhelmed by the emotions that you impart in whatever you're talking about. Like when I start invoking race, I'm not one of these 1355 type of people, because I am 100% convinced that like the ideology of if you make less crimes, you make less criminals. Like I'm 100% with that ideology. When I bring up race, I am more of one of these 2%, 40% individuals, right? Which is not nearly as popular, but to be honest, your dusty friend of mine, your dusty friend would probably be on board with me there. The thing is that, like, economic systems, regardless of whatever you classify them as, and regardless of like the precise mechanics here, are less important than the dynamics of what kind of social order that it reinforces at this point. Like, I don't really give a shit if closed borders are classified as socialist or capitalist or communist or whatever the fuck. I just want less people in my fucking country.
Okay. All right. Here's what you have to understand. All right. And this is really important for you to understand.
Right.
There's a difference between an ideology and a sales pitch. Okay.
Yeah.
And what they have right now is a sales pitch. They are literally selling this. They don't believe in it because they all live in gated communities away from all these poor people who have dark skin.
You're not wrong. Before I really get into this, I feel like I should let Doku jump in on this, because I feel like in general he's smarter than me.
I don't know about all that, but I appreciate the compliment.
What up, my brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm hanging in there. How you guys doing?
Man, fucking it's Sunday night. Usually I do this with Max, but I'm gonna tell you what, y'all are always welcome over here, man. I love having conversations with y'all. You wanna go on one of your rants for a minute so I can go and turn the light on in this bitch?
I'm not in a rant mood, but I'll definitely comment on what TK was saying.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about economic structures of capitalism, regulated free market, socialism, communism, what works, what doesn't, where to draw the line, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable. Yeah, I know a lot of people, you'll say communism, meaning they think like, oh, China or Russia, USSR, this and that. Okay, yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be that way. I mean, just under, it's like the same thing as like when people say fascism. It's like, well, define fascism in a clear way. You can't because it's an intentional umbrella term. Same way you can go up to someone and talk about communism. It's like, well, we're talking about Leninism, talking about Maoism, but people are too lazy to clearly define these terms and actually carry out a conversation in an intellectually honest manner when it comes to that. When it comes to the immigration problem, yeah, I agree with you. I tend to say, look, yeah, I want border security. I want I want immigration to be enforced more vigorously. If you come to this country once, you're kicked the fuck out for good permanently. Never, no chance to come back. I don't care if you got kids here. Like, fuck off. Shouldn't have been here in the first place. Please don't send your kids over the border. Oh, by the way, yeah, walls are more effective than not having anything. That being said, I'm not fully against the idea of immigration as long as there's a good vetting process and we make sure we're bringing in people who are going to be a net benefit to the economy. And Pinoid's right. The people selling it to you, they want to continue to have cheap labor so that they can continue to profit off business, profit all. It's like the same reason that they don't want to put any immigration tariffs or anything on China, and they freak out when you do it because it directly goes after their bottom line. They don't have access to that cheap labor market. But you're right. They do live in gated communities. They're not going to have to worry.
Right. Yo, look, I want people in the chat. I want to
go for it. That's about all I had to say, anyways. So.
All right. I got to correct some people in the chat. The Pope was not arrested. His butler was on 80 counts of motherfucking child pornography.
Not gonna lie, at this point, I think that the entire Catholic Church just should be fucking burned to the ground at this point. Like, I think they've gotten enough chances to try to do shit right, and they've failed on all of them. Like, the Pope is telling people to get the vaccine when the vaccine was produced with aborted fetuses. So, like, I'm not even.
Stop it, for fuck's sake! Just stop it. Jesus Christ! It was not aborted fetuses. You know damn well they use stem cells for all types of medical fucking research at this fucking point.
Well,
like, it's part of science at this point, man. Like, when you have, people who are out here aborting their fucking children, and they take those children and they use them to do medical research that, legitimately has, done so much great for the fucking world. I don't understand why it is people have a fucking problem with this. Like, I don't get it.
Well, because, I don't believe in killing babies.
Well, like, yeah, I don't like that ideology, like, more, and as much as anybody else hates that ideology, you know what I mean? Like, I fucking can't stand that shit. But on the same point, like, if people are going to do it, and they have stem cells that can, and we can use for medical research that, has massive amounts of fucking, usefulness to us, why wouldn't we?
For the same reason why I wouldn't murder a person to make medicine.
No. Again,
we use our own.
Well, again, we get back to if there's already dead babies from abortion because, women are terrible, you know what I'm saying? And we go, well, these dead babies, you know what I'm saying? Legitimately, they have medical use in their stem cells and, all the shit that they have. It's probably useful for us to use them, rather than standing here going, well, it's a dead baby. We can't use it. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to stand here and save other lives by, fucking using this.
I 100% feel you. I was there at some point in time, but not even gonna lie, then I did a massive trip on DMT, and then I saw the kids that I killed. But yeah, I'm not down with that, and I can't make a logical argument besides the fact that, like, if you're not willing to dismember a corpse to do shit, then you're not really willing to do that shit, and I'm not willing to.
Oh, we do.
Right,
we do dismember corpses. We do dismember corpses all the time.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and matter of fact, I have performed autopsies on corpses because at one point in time I thought I was going to be a doctor, and then I realized I have terrible fucking bedside manner and I hate people.
I feel you. All right, man. Hang on, man. I got to welcome some new people to the John motherfucking William Sauter, Simon Lowe, And who else is here? Oh yeah, Chuck Foods reviews and more. Welcome. Have a wrench. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets a wrench in my chat because I don't want anybody to be silenced or hidden. You know what I mean? I think it's important, you know what I mean, that we all have the ability to, you know what I mean, have the opportunity to have these conversations, to ask these questions and say the things that we need to say and make the comments we need to say. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Right. And no one should benefit from murder. Yeah, I don't really, whatever. People are going to get murdered. And Dip, what up, my brother? How you doing?
Yeah. I got two
Dip,
questions
go for it.
on the stem cell thing. Two questions to consider. One, first of all, can we learn to do things if we have remaining as adults to do things of our own with anything of regeneration, etc. With our own cellular regeneration. And number two, more importantly, I wonder about the stability and more. I understand, there's some possible usage. Well, it's something about death and decay, because when you deal with different species, okay, and beyond just humans, and you deal with dead creatures, if you're not careful, what can be done? And what if the body rejects? Like, what are the actual ramifications of using it besides just the moral argument? I mean, from a biological standpoint.
It's not like you're taking baby fucking parts and putting them inside people. It's more along the lines like, you know what I mean, like you're taking, you know what I mean, stem cells or, you know what I mean, fucking fetuses that were aborted and using their tissue to, you know what I mean, fucking like test for, you know what I mean, new vaccines or drugs or whatever the case might be, reactability for different chemical fucking things, you know what I mean, for drugs or whatever the case is.
Is that reasonable though? And the reason I ask for reasonability is not, and again, this isn't even the moral argument I would make. Reasonability as in, we understand that these are underdeveloped cellular tissue. Number two, how would it apply to adults? Would this only apply to children? Would this only apply to infants? Like, what are we talking about right now?
We're talking about aborted fetuses that are already there.
No. I know that. No. I'm talking about what would be the application of these tests. See what I'm saying?
And to that point, like, Dip, you anarchist fuck, I disagree with you on a bunch of shit, but I am 100% with you on this particular point. Like, babies don't develop their immune system until like 6 months to a year of development. So if you're talking about aborted fetuses and aborted stem cells on that type of thing, the actual applicability of these stem cell lines for actual vaccine development is beyond dubious. Matter of fact, it is to the point where if you actually develop something with it, I would go so far as to say that it is detrimental. Because if you develop stem cells or vaccines with these stem cells, there is evidence, and I'm not going to make too strong claims here just to avoid Q posting, but there is evidence to show that if you develop vaccines with these types of stem cells, that it actually builds up immunity to fetuses themselves, to embryos themselves. So like it can actually induce sterility, and that is an issue.
All right. Here's the thing. Like, say if you take a stem cell, right, and or say you take like a bunch of stem cells and you put it next to one heart cell that you have or a red blood cell that you have, and they replicate these, you know, I mean, red blood cells or these heart cells or these kidney cells or a liver cell or whatever the case might be. And you start the process of growing organs and things of this nature, right? Which they can do. And that's what they've been doing. And what they do is they test the effects of drugs or, you know, I mean, any type of like chemical things that they're going to be putting into the vaccine on these fucking organs that they grew through these stem cells and things of this nature, right? And so therefore we're not talking about like you're going to end up causing sterility in a full-grown individual. What they will do is it'll just show us how it reacts as a whole, and basically allow us to use that the same way that we use, you know, I mean, like pigs or monkeys or whatever the case might be, to test makeup or cosmetics or, you know, I mean, shampoos or whatever the case, you know, whatever it is that we have for consumer products on them, without having the problem of those animals actually being tortured, because the thing that we're taking it from is already dead.
All right. The question that I have is, how responsive is a corpse to these kind of things? Like, how valuable is that information?
Like, because the stem cells aren't dead. They're not dead, okay. And that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? They're still alive. So like they're still able to reproduce. That was my mitosis or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, part of the problem is also that a lot of these cell lines, which is what they're called, they're not necessarily pure cell lines. They're what are called zombie cell lines. So what they do is they don't necessarily just use any fucking aborted fetus tissue. What they use is ones that they have found that will reproduce in perpetuity. And so what happens here is we're talking about cells that are already predisposed to cancer, first of all, because they'll just keep on reproducing without end. And the other thing is that
that's not how cancer works.
Yes,
cancer's the mutation of a cell reproducing without end, right? It's a cell that's not supposed to reproduce or reproducing without end.
Right, but
these are normal cells that are reproducing.
No. You are wrong there. When you are talking about immortal cell lines, these are cell lines that have cancerous genes. You were right in that they're not necessarily completely cancerous in that they'll just form fucking tumors, right? But they are cell lines that will continue to reproduce without end. And that does make them semi-cancerous.
I mean that just goes down to the point, like, yeah, like, you know, if you run them for 50 years, yeah, they'll produce a fucking cancer, right? But on the same point, like, what they're actually supposed to do is they're cells that don't have an assignment yet, right? They're like cells that are going to turn into heart cells or liver cells or stomach cells or skin cells or fucking eye cells or brain cells, right?
No.
Yeah,
that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about
they're using.
Yes, but I am saying that what the specific ones that they are using are called immortal cell lines. They literally will continue to reproduce without end.
How is that?
It's just a specific gene that they select for, and basically what happens is that they grow a petri dish with a certain set of cells, right? And they find the ones that keep reproducing without a huge amount of mutation, right? And they select those out to keep producing more tissues, and then they use them to produce more tissue samples and that type of thing.
Welcome to my free speech stream, by the way, my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
This is some Brave New World sci-fi shit, by the way. Just have to throw that in there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But the thing that I would point out is that because of the way they select these cell lines, the actual application to humans is dubious. And I'm not even saying that just because it is necessarily selected from aborted fetuses, which I do have a moral personal problem with. But like they have found that there is a massive fucking problem with, for example, mice, where they have bred generations on generations of lab mice, which are completely unrelated to regular mice.
That's why they're trying to move away from lab mice, because like they had a problem with the ones that they selected, because all of them ended up being lab mice that ended up living like I think far longer or whatever the case might be than normal mice would.
Of course they would.
And the telomeres were wrong, right? But yo,
right.
hold on.
I'm saying,
My bottom bitch is here. Hang on, my bottom bitch is here. Excel, my brother, like yo, nigga. I figured I'd give you an invite. You know what I mean? Since I didn't even know where you were streaming from last night. You know what I mean? And
I actually was on my channel.
like, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
right?
The one place no one would ever think to look.
Like I saw you. I got a notification for it because it still comes up the Guerrilla News Network and shit, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. So I was like, man, listen, like I'd love to come and join my brother, but I have no idea where he is streaming at the moment. You know what I mean? Like where I could even get in if I wanted to. But like I figured I'd toss you an invite tonight because it's Sunday. You know what I mean? And like, you know how Sundays work for me. This is one of my favorite days to do a show. So what the fuck is good with you, man? You notice that our freedoms are slipping away little by little?
Yeah. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen, right? And I've been saying for a long time, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Oh yeah.
Especially with the Georgia defeat, right? They've got carte blanche to just basically ram through whatever they want to do. And you listen to what like Biden's coming out and saying, like he's already talking about doing economic relief packages based on race. Right, the exact kind of shit I've been arguing against for the last 2 years.
South Africa now.
Well, I mean, like fucking from what I understand, like the news is now saying that Hispanics in fucking California have higher rates of COVID than everybody else, so they need more money.
Of course they do.
Sure. And then meanwhile over here, you've got the president of the United States getting banned from Twitter.
It's fucking great, dude.
For literally not doing anything that they said he did, right? In his speech, he's like, go protest peacefully. He said that explicitly. And then people broke into the building, which honestly I don't really care about. It's the fucking, at least you're attacking the government and not private property. Like,
right.
Happened all week.
If anyone says that them busting into the Capitol building wasn't awesome, I'm gonna call you a bitch.
Yeah, I think it was dumb actually, just because it gave them, like, there was no way it would ever be painted in a favorable light, and the consequences we're seeing, and they're things that they wanted to do anyway, right? Like banning Donald Trump and a shit ton of other people. All of a sudden, because they banned it, like Parler is actually looking like good competition. So Amazon Web Services is like, oh, we're sorry. You want to compete with Twitter? Well, unfortunately, if you want to be on our platform, you have to have the same terms of service as Twitter does and enforce moderation exactly the same as Twitter. So we're going to kick you off of that.
Oh, that's the thing. I'm waiting for midnight to roll around to see if Parler's still up. I've got an account over there. I've got 7 minutes.
One question.
I'm sorry, if you think that they were going to do anything besides this, even if the protests were 100% clean, they were going to do this. They were going to do this regardless of what happened. I am glad that it happened, just because it scared the piss out of the politicians and made them piss their pants. That made me happy.
One question I have.
I actually, hang on. I read a news story today about the protest, right? And it literally said that there was a cop that, on Saturday committed suicide who was at the fucking rallies, and they're now blaming that on the fucking protests.
Of course,
they're doing everything they can to inflate what actually happened. I mean, the biggest story was an unarmed woman getting shot by a police officer
in the neck,
and they're dancing. Like, blue checks on Twitter right now are dancing on her grave, celebrating.
Which they do. One question I do have, though, because I could get about how bad shit will be because of the Biden-Harris administration, but do y'all think that the DNC is about to eat itself? And the GOP, I think both these parties are dying quickly, actually. But Do you think that, because I've noticed this trend over the last 8 years, that the DNC, because of their quote unquote identity politics and more, are coming at each other's throats, and y'all know what that does when a pack does itself in.
I guess I'll go first on this one. The answer is yes. You can see it, and I know pop culture is not an important thing in light of in light of what's going on. It's a good indicator for what's to come. In that sense, it's important. But I mean, no one fucking cares about Star Wars: The High Republic. But looking at what's happening in pop culture with the identity politics and the culture war, I think is a very good indication of what you're going to see happen in with the DNC and its own internal politics. You're already starting to see it between the squad, as they call themselves, and Nancy Pelosi. Like, you're seeing the new, more radical Bernie Yang bro type people and the more identity politics driven group already pushing back against the old guard Democrats. And that's also part of the reason they're so quick to demonize and overinflate what happened on the 6th, is because they need a common enemy just to hold themselves together, because they have no internal glue. They'll fall apart as soon as they lose that common foe.
I mean, you oddly have the neocons rushing to the Democratic Party now too, and how is that relationship going to pan out?
I think it's actually going to work out pretty well, because the neocons and the neolibs are basically the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
they're branches from liberalism. Actually, if you look back historically, they are the same. They come from the same root.
Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah, so my issue, all the neocons care about is global war presence, right? You know, the John Bolton types that jerk off every time we drop a bomb in some third world country. So all you have to do to keep them appeased is to continue bombing the Middle East.
Oh, you think that's what they're after, though? Is perpetual war? Oh no, it's far more sinister than that.
Well, here's the thing. It's not perpetual war, right? What it is they're trying to hold up the global security apparatus that the United States put in place after 1945, right? And like, as long as they hold that in place and they continue to, defend trade everywhere, that means that the United States business community can manufacture in any country it wants to and bring the goods back to America super cheap, so that the Fed can keep printing money and nobody really notices the inflation rate.
Well, yeah, as long as every other central bank inflates at the same rate.
Well, no,
well, and they do.
They do. But on the same point, most of these currencies are actually tied to the dollar, including most of the IMF funds and things of this nature. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how low the American dollar goes. Literally, it's never gonna match, the fucking peso. So it is what it is.
But Tom, I'll ask, do you think this is just, I don't think it's just trade though. For example, the Dick Cheneys of the world, as folks say, don't they have their pockets in things such as oil, weapons manufacture, Boeing, all these companies that you break down?
What does oil do?
Oil generates energy.
No, oil actually is the motherfucking lifeblood of the entire world's transportation and logistics. Right. So being in oil means that you stand here and have the ability, if you control the oil, you control the ability of any country to be able to move goods around. It's that simple, right? So therefore, if you want to be in charge of oil, you're going to have military apparatus in order to defend these type of things and make sure that all these, pipelines and shit go through the way they're supposed to.
Oh, I forgot about the opiate trade as well. They want to control that shit.
Well, again, this is all about corporate interest. This literally has nothing to do. Oh shit! I got to turn myself up. There we go. This has nothing to do with anything that had to do with some sinister, twirling my mustache type of shit. It's more along the lines of American business and American corporations, want to pump up the fucking left wing of this fucking country to stand here and scream about socialism, right? They'll never make any change. They'll expand the welfare state because it lowers the cost of doing business in America as far as paying service workers, because they can always just hop on welfare to compensate them for what the fuck it is that they're missing out of their paychecks that they would normally get if, we didn't have this global fucking, technocracy to have to compete with everywhere, and you weren't dragging us down to the bottom to compete against fucking Chinese labor, right? And this is, this is literally what the fuck they're doing right now. You know, I mean, this is what they've been
Would you
doing.
not consider that sinister, though?
It's not sinister. You know what I mean?
It's propping up an artificial system, though.
But it's not. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is that, like, the issues the government spending, the issues the amount of fucking currency that's being created inside of the system, right? That continues to devalue us, that continues to devalue our own fucking baseless currency, right? Because as the currency becomes devalued, you need cheaper products to feed the American citizens.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. They'll give you just enough money to keep you happy, just enough disposable income to keep the economic apparatus moving, keep the wheels turning. And other than that, they want you to vote every 2 years, don't ask questions, and pay your taxes. That's it. That's what they want.
Yeah. How is that any different from feudalism in the medieval period, honestly?
Because like the average person couldn't own a home in the fucking feudalist fucking system.
And also under feudalism, feudal lords were under the law. These fucks create the law.
In a sense, you could say it's
Depends on
closer
which
more.
nation you are.
In a sense, you could say it's closer more to living in a slightly post-feudalism aristocracy, except instead of being born into nobility, you're born into money. But it's the same thing.
That is nobility, honestly.
Like, you want to see an example of this? Apple has a new commercial out, right? I just saw it today, where like they have a bunch of celebrities and right? And a bunch of like I don't know what you would call them, fucking community organizers with like Black Lives Matter shit all together, and they're all using Apple products, right? And Apple laptops and Apple pads and shit, right? Like, the reason they're pushing this, right, is because like, it's a globalistic ideology, right? Because Apple manufactures all their fucking goods in China or Malaysia or fucking Taiwan. They manufacture all their computers in fucking China. Like, what are you going to do if you manufacture all your goods in one fucking in another country, and the United States the United States president saying, yeah, nah, you're about to get cut off.
Yeah, you're going to be really quick to shut that shit down.
And India has a huge tech boom over the last 5 years.
Yeah, India's garbage. It's about to die. So don't worry about India. Well, India's just going to be India. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of fucking poor people riding on top of trains. Like, they're fucking trash.
Oh, no. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is that, to your point about this Chinese issue, a lot of the tech, not just tech support, a lot of the technical engineers, they're training over in India. And a lot of them have come here to the United States and they do business and they're doing well. So just take that in mind.
Yeah, I know very well. The reason I'm up right now is because in about 30 minutes, I have to get online to a bridge with offshore Indian team for a tech deployment.
Yep.
Wait a minute. I have some dude who says I don't understand basic economics.
What you said was basic economics and logistics. Anyone who knows like any system understands this. What the fuck? This is what's been going on since the dawn of man.
Anyone who understands basic fucking human psychology understands economics.
No, that is not true. No.
Economics is really just a study of what people value. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah, and it's also called the dismal science for a reason.
In trade, I would say trade as well.
Jim McIntosh, welcome, my brother. Welcome. Nice to see you out here. You know what I mean? Ceiling D, Mr. Slaughter, right? Tennessee Marine Savage TV, man, William Savage. Everybody, it's nice to see everybody out here getting it done right now. Right. Nice to see everybody out here supporting the channel. You know how it works, right? So here's the deal. So really what economics is a study of what individuals value inside of a society. That's what economics really is, right? So like, you're going to sit here and, study what individuals spend their money on and what they value and, what they're willing to trade their labor for in order to gain products. What products are buying with that labor. That's really just a study of economics as a whole.
Isn't that simply macroeconomics though, rather than micro?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
Right. So that's why you have all these encompassing economic theories, all of which they all postulate different things as to what you would do to maximize prosperity.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I just have always understood economics to be in this base form trade.
Well, yeah, but that's macro, right? That's like
no, even on a minor scale. like if you and I did business with each other, it's simply trade. It's not looking for the patterns of behavior. That's on a macro scale.
Well, that's the wheel that turns the economic apparatus at its most basic level, and which is why you could technically you could boil it down to just a barter system, and it's still economics. It's just instead of trading in currency, we're trading beans for cattle or whatever example you want to use.
And again, you don't trade for stuff that you don't value.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Aggregate all those trade interactions that go on between individuals, and then you have economic observation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you also have to keep in mind: scarce resources, division of labor, specialization, and there's more to it. But trade is kind of the whole key point behind it.
Yeah. These are all things. Everything that you talked about are just things that arise as spontaneous orders.
Yeah, like I'll be honest with you. Like really, you could literally set up an economic fucking like. If you look at a food web, it's almost the same as an economy.
Yep. That's how I view it.
I mean, like squirrels have an economy. You know what I mean? Like fucking any creature that stands there and stores anything or fucking like, gathers food, looks for mates with it, or tries to barter for fucking, sexual favor with females of its species is a fucking economic system in the end of the day. Just because they're not using currency doesn't mean it's not, an economic system as a whole.
I would argue the earliest, as you talking about web of economics that a lot of us were engaged with was school cafeteria, where everybody would trade their shit. I don't like this. You want this, bro? Or baseball cards, or you have a million other examples before you do anything with currency.
Yeah, it's the basic breakdown of what you value. Again, and that's really what it is what individual societies value the most. Is what they work and trade their labor for. And the value of their labor, is dependent on the amount of motherfucking and the amount of the resources that they're able to use to be able to stand here and survive. It's a basic, it's all kind of like a really basic ass thing, but it's just tough to put out as far as like understanding, like the exact words you use to be able to portray it to everybody. It's that, it's that kind of simple. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that makes it difficult is just being able to say it in a way that everybody's going to understand. Right.
I think most of these models also confuse, and you have this issue, what you're talking about, the simplicity with the academic class, if you will, and the modern layman.
Artistic XCC. All right. So like if you want to be able to move goods around your country, you're going to need all right. So if you want to stand here and trade goods, or you want to stand here and move your goods around your country to be able to have your people to be able to have like toilet paper or bread or whatever the case might be, you're going to need a diesel powered truck to do so. Right. And diesel comes from oil. Right. So does gasoline. So does, kerosene, heating oil actually for like, lubricating, your internal workings of a motor, things of this nature. Oh, your entire society is based on oil. The entire modern world is based on oil. Like if you take away oil from like the modern world, we step back to horses and buggies.
You would need just like the invention of the industrial combustion engine, you would need,
Michael Hatfield, I did not say hi earlier. I apologize. Welcome, Michael Hatfield, my brother. How you doing? Right. It's kind of important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If our military controls the majority of the world's oil supply, it makes it also really easy to fight countries without actually having to fight. You just do oil embargoes on them because that's what Pinoy said.
Exactly.
That starves them. They
nuclear
can't move around their country.
Nuclear power as well. When you limit who can develop what reactors, well, you've just eliminated half the competition.
Yeah. But like the bitch is uranium's contained in most countries on the planet, right? So like you can actually pull uranium out of the ground, but like only certain countries have, oil in large enough quantities to be able to use for production, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Like if you look at like a country like China does not produce anywhere near enough oil to be able to, how do I put this? Be able to like power its own society as a whole, its entire economic structure, right? So if you cut it off from the Middle East, like it's fucked. Like it has no ability to do anything anymore. Like China immediately goes back to the Dark Ages. The moment
Is that partially why they're huge about coal usage over there?
Yeah, I mean, because like coal's like, gotta remember, man, like when you're feeding 1.2 billion people and heating 1.2 billion people and having 1.2 billion people be able to have electricity, you're gonna have to have a power source, right? So, you know, I mean, like, yeah, they're building nuclear reactors, but that takes time.
Right.
Right. And, you know, I mean, coal power plants don't take as much time because really all coal is, you know, I mean, like a steam engine. Right. You know, I mean, you heat up the water, it goes to a turbine, turns it, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I mean, it goes through TK Mao. Go ahead, my brother. I know you got the engineering science.
And I've heard, excuse me.
Real quick. Nuclear engines right now are, they're basically steam powered engines. It is absolutely stupid how low tech our nuclear tech is as an in general type of thing. That's why the nuclear power plants in Japan blew up, just because basically the nuclear rods got so hot that they split the water that they were boiling in half into hydrogen and oxygen. And I don't know if you know this, but both hydrogen and oxygen are extremely fucking flammable.
Volatile, yeah, two of the most flammable and volatile elements on the planet.
Right. So there are more advanced nuclear techniques that are a lot safer, notably molten salt reactors, but you don't get a whole lot of investment into them, specifically because as soon as, like, when those technologies became actually doable was about when you had the petrodollar becoming a thing. And yeah, they didn't really want to put any money into that because they wanted, for the same reason why they're going to start yeeting fracking over here in the United States in a minute. They want the United States to be involved in the Middle East. They want us to be dependent on the Middle East for us to be a reason to be over there. And go for it.
Wait, you got to remember, like, yo, without us needing motherfucking the Middle East, right? You know, without us like standing here needing oil from the Middle East, we have no reason to be involved with the rest of the world as a whole. The entire structure of the global security apparatus falls apart.
Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is probably from your neck of the woods. Is the coal, because I was hearing years ago that the coal in China wasn't quite as good as, like, say, here in the U.S. and a few other places in the world. Am I wrong on that one?
I don't really know about the quality of coal.
Okay.
I mean,
I can speak to that. It's not as high quality in that it doesn't burn as clean.
Right.
But they don't really give a shit. Like, over in China, they just don't give a shit. Here, they
you got to do what you got to do, though, don't you? If you don't really have another option.
Let me correct Ceiling Demon on some shit. All right, you can stand here and basically refine gasoline. You can refine oil into gasoline, right? And you can refine oil into lubricants. You can refine oil into plastics. You can refine oil into fucking, you know what I mean, diesel. Now, each of them, right, are like, there's different types of oil, you know what I'm saying? There's WTI crude, there's sweet, you know what I mean? There's real sour crude, right? As they put it, like the stuff that comes up in America, they call it, they're out of the fracking in America, they call it chicken. They call it, you know what I mean, white chicken oil, right? Because basically you can wave a white chicken in front of it, they say, and it becomes gasoline. It's very, very easy for the process to turn it into gasoline. Some are much, much harder to turn into gasolines, right? The stuff in Saudi Arabia is very easy to refine into gasoline. A lot of the stuff that comes out of Canada, that tar sand shit, is garbage, right? Really, really hard to turn into gasoline, right? Yeah, fucking, like, yeah, and I have no idea about what the coal's like in China. I'm not familiar with it, so I don't want to really stand here and say that I know anything, right? Yeah, basically, yeah, again, like almost every engine that they use to stand here and, you know what I mean, fucking produce electricity is nothing but a steam powered engine. Like, you're basically working on 1840s tech when it comes down to it.
Could you, in simple, because I haven't really heard the term fracking really before this past year. You know, I heard it thrown around occasionally, but
really
simple, in simple terms, what is it?
here's what they do. Okay, it's really simple. So what they do is they go down about, like mile, 2 miles down under the ground. Like this is deep, deep shit. All right. And there's oil trapped in between rocks. Okay. And what they do is they go down and, they fucking explode these rocks. Okay. With small amounts they drill in and they, like fucking drill out a whole bunch of different wells, like sideways, right? They go down and then they go sideways out. And then what they do is they stand here and, they fucking like, they basically have small explosions to crack the rocks apart. And
like
then they
using TNT?
On different type of explosives, but then what they do is they pump in water and they hydraulically frack open those holes, right? And when they pump in water, it's not just water, it's water and sand at this point, or it'll be water and like they have this new food grade silicon shit that they're using, right? So it doesn't harm the environment. And now when they bring it back up, they're bringing the water back up, and the pressure from the rocks trying to collapse in upon itself, and the reason for the sand and the grit is so like the rocks stay open, and all that oil that was trapped inside of those rocks, it seeps in and they suck it all out, right? And it comes up to the surface, and they pump it out and they put it in the trucks or cars or whatever the case might be, and they take it to whatever fucking pipeline or just refinery that they have to take it to.
Is this a safer method of withdrawing oil? I'm curious because I don't know about.
Yeah, it's so the stuff in Pennsylvania when they first found it, or in Texas, was literally coming out of the ground, like
right.
Like it was like say if you hit your water table, and like it was a flood and like the water just started coming out of the ground, like a geyser. Same type of shit in Pittsburgh and Texas way back in the day. So there was massive pockets of fucking oil, that was short underneath the ground, but they all ran dry back in the 1970s in America. For the most part, right. There's still some stuff in Texas, but this new fracking stuff that they're doing, basically at any given time, you can have 50 to 75,000 different drills doing this, right? And each of these platforms we're producing so much oil that we are literally a net exporter, and we're producing more oil than anybody else on the planet.
Ain't bad.
Safe is one of those things where it's a relative term, like. The technology we have is probably far safer than anything that's going on in Saudi Arabia, right?
Okay.
That's what I don't get about these environmentalists is like they're not actually doing anything to reduce the amount of oil being used by it saying, oh, we want to ban fracking. They're just saying, oh, the environmental impact, we don't want it in our backyard, so let's just keep buying it from poor Middle Easterners. Let them
it's
environment.
The same type of thing where they like, I don't know if you've ever looked into like silicone manufacturing, as in like the actual chips and shit, but it requires hydrofluoric acid, which is yeah, it is entirely fucking toxic. And even if you do like contain it to some amount, you do have a massive amount of toxic waste. Because the hydrofluoric acid is used to clean the surfaces.
Of what?
Of the silicon wafers, basically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I was going to say, Jim McIntosh, no, actually the technology and chemistry has improved to the point now where it's food grade, right? Like literally you can eat it. Right. Just, so like, you're on the same page as us. Like that's literally where they are now. Like in the past 5 years, this shit has, and like the cost of it has gone from $70 a barrel down to 25. So like there's been massive amounts of fucking money thrown at these fucking projects. And like it's gotten so much better legitimately. And it doesn't cause earthquakes. Like stop that shit.
What? The only time I agree with having questionable things like the EPA, things I usually shit on, is like V-Dub's bullshit that they pulled with the quote-unquote clean diesel bullshit. That's the only time I'm cool with those agencies.
Yo, man, I'll be honest with you. All right, legitimately,
catch fraud.
The largest fucking, the largest fucking producer of fucking, CO2 on the planet, real shit, are the ships that we use to ship shit back and forth across the fucking world.
Right.
Yeah, because they, I forget the exact term they use, but they use that real dirty oil.
Crude, right?
And a lot of what we're talking about here is natural gas, which is way less. If you're one of the people that are afraid of carbon, fracking and natural gas is way less carbon emissive than oil.
Right? Yeah. Natural gas, basically, if you burn it, it basically turns into carbon dioxide and water.
And by the way, the sheer amount of natural gas that's coming up out of the ground while we're fracking is enough to make us energy independent from the world for the next fucking 1,000 years, right? There's so much of it that we have to flare it off because we can't capture
it. So kind of what John D. Rockefeller and such were dealing with back in the 19th century.
Yeah, Jim, as I said, man, it's come leaps and fucking bounds at this point. And I mean, if you want to read a good book on it at this point, read I think it's called America, the Accidental Superpower. Fucking by Peter Zehan. He has a really good breakdown in there about that shit. And I mean, if you want to, I can give you a free fucking ebook about that. You know what I mean? It's a bomb ass thing to fucking legitimately read. It's fucking awesome. Yo. By the way, anybody hear about what's going on with the Insurrection Act and Donald Trump?
Any updates?
I've heard he signed it like 1 million different times up until now, so I'm not holding my fucking breath.
Why would he do anything with it now? I don't understand.
Devil's advocate right here, and this is not me trying to do some Q shit, because he is being prosecuted by every fucking state government that, every state AG is going after him and his family. He literally has nothing to fucking lose at this point. So
no, what I'm saying is, if he was going to do it, he should have done it fucking a month ago, is what I'm saying.
Should have, yes, but we're talking about a boomer here.
No. But I look at the games being played, right? And him not pulling the trigger is intentional. So for him, who's quote unquote conceited, and you can say the AGs, they just going after his ass to make sure he does the right thing and gets out of office. Come on, man. As soon as Biden is quote unquote in, they're just gonna drop all this shit. This shit's just gonna disappear.
I disagree there, just because the state level people, they are completely ideologically possessed. If you're talking about Biden and shit, all of those people know what side their butter is bread. Or bread is buttered, however it may be. I do believe that a lot of people on the state level they're just fucking crazy, just because of the media driving them crazy.
Yeah, fucking. All right. So I just checked on news for the Insurrection Act, and there is nothing. So, if he did invoke the Insurrection Act, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go with the news doesn't know about it. You know?
Yeah, I find that to be highly unlikely. In fact, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Never was.
There is some points to be made and I do think this is going to happen as soon as Biden takes office. I think that there's going to be punishment for Trump and his supporters and his surrogates for upsetting the cathedral. They will try to make an example out of him.
Oh, Excel's been doing some fucking homework.
Well, all Donald Trump would have to do is pull a Snowden and deuces. Seriously.
Excel, man.
It doesn't really matter. They're gonna.
You read Mobug, yo. You are the shit, dude.
Well, yeah, I read about that when I read Michael Malice's book, a year and a half ago on the New Right.
You gonna read The White Pill?
The New Right. It's Michael Malice's book, but yeah, he goes through and cites Moldbug on a lot of things.
Wait,
Moldbug
who sounds like someone's covering their mouth?
That would be TK, by the way. It's been a issue on my end, anyways.
Oh, sorry. Any better?
Yeah.
Bullbug isn't wrong on a lot of shit, but he is wrong on a lot of shit. Just because.
Well, his concept of the cathedral is absolutely right, and it doesn't even have to be conspiracy, but it's anybody that hasn't heard the term the cathedral. We're just talking about the academic, media, and political institutions that control what ideas are allowed to be spread and what aren't.
Pretty much the modern day Catholic Church of the medieval period, for those of you who are more into history.
Exactly. That's why they call it the cathedral. And those that live safely inside the cathedral will do everything to protect it. And to us sitting outside of it, they look fucking nuts.
Yeah, you're not
Or
wrong.
they look
You're not
like,
wrong.
for many, almighty gods. Just FYI.
Yeah, man. I like it. It legit. It fucking. I don't even know how to fucking put it, man. Like, because I'll be honest with you, I know that there's a conceited effort by the individuals who live in, say, Connecticut and fucking Vermont and Massachusetts and the Ivy League colleges of this nation to continue on with the order in which they live. You know what I'm saying? But like on the same point, I know that there's moneyed interest who control a lot of the levers behind things, who actually pay for a lot of the politicians, you know what I mean? Fucking like their campaigns and things of this nature.
I think I haven't heard from Doku in a minute.
Doku's asleep.
No, I'm here. I'm letting you guys go. Normally I'm capitalizing the time on most of these streams. So, but I do agree with what Excel was saying, that they might go after Trump even after this is all done, just to prove a point. Because he was the one guy. I've had arguments with this with several people on both sides of the coin. Trump is the one dude that never was supposed to get elected, came in, completely upset the GOP, completely pissed off the neocons, they take a shit in their bed, and then proceeded to declare war on the establishment, so to speak. So trust me, as soon as he's out of office, it will go back to business as usual. But I don't think they're going to take this and just go ahead and let bygones be bygones. I'll think they'll be going after him for at least a couple of years.
Well, if they were going to get him, they would have gotten him already with the bullshit impeachment shit. What do they have on his ass?
I think they're waiting for him to go back to being the status of private citizen. I'm not saying that they're going to drag him to court or throw him in jail or anything, but they'll find other ways to punish him. Twitter already proved that.
Like I said, just fucking leave and just drop off the grid. It's very basic. And do your shit.
But this is, you got to remember though, man, this is Donald Trump we're talking about. He's not exactly the type to just, sunset himself and, fade into the way, play.
No, it's not. I don't
music.
mean fade away. I don't mean fade away. I'm talking be smart. And he has the connections. He has the resources to do exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying we're talking about somebody who's spent his entire life in the spotlight. So, I mean, if he was smart, he would fade into the background and pull a Soros and start pulling strings from behind a curtain. That's just not how Trump operates.
I would say he's been doing that really since the 80s, but he's also had a public face. I think he's done both.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, fucking Jim McIntosh is in here. The Vatican's ComSat we use to help hack our internet stuff. Wait. The modern day Vatican plays a part. I'm going to tell you what, the Vatican's been part of the U.S. fucking global order ever since John Paul. I remember back when fucking Ronald Reagan was taking on the fucking Soviets, right? And fucking, I forget who it was. Was it Gorbachev? Somebody said how many troops does the Vatican control, right? You know what I mean? And fucking John Paul, I think he came out and he was he said some shit, but he said something about winning this fucking war or whatever the case might be, right? And the Vatican legitimately was up against the USSR and communism as well, right? Because the whole thing was all about the US global order as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, understand, like, this is not new shit, but you just got to think about history and look at history as a whole and go back. You know what I mean? Understand that, like, it's been this way for a while. It just nobody realized it because we didn't have the opportunity to come together and really have the chance to have these conversations until fucking recently.
Or a lot of people didn't have the knowledge, and I would say it's a generational thing, because you have to realize the generation that was the youth at the time versus the ones that are now. That shit matters.
Yeah, you're not wrong, because like we still got the boomers in charge right now, and
Correct.
they're the type who are saying like Israel is our fucking greatest ally, as literal Israelis say. I'm not going to go too in depth there, but Israel doesn't like Christians. Let's just put it that way.
Just a brief aside, just to put things in context, since a lot of specifically my generation and the generation just behind me are lacking experience and they think history is boring. It was only 80 years ago that a foreign power had the balls to take their naval fleet and bomb one of our military bases on an island. That was only 80 fucking years ago, and they did it as a result of us putting economic pressure on them. That's not that long of a period of time in the grand scheme of things.
But that's more than most people have lived, so they've forgotten.
Well, exactly. I mean, you can't see China doing that shit now. And part of the thing is, like, you can understand why they want to actually prop up the United States military global power, because the last time we decided to go ahead and not be that and scale back our military, it resulted in the Second World War. So the U.S. has been playing big brother to the rest of the world for the past 80 years.
Wait. Hold on. That's what you think caused the Second World War? Is the U.S. scaling back?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I know exactly what caused. I know exactly. Trust me, I know what caused World War II. I was saying the last time the United States didn't have a large global military presence, well, wars start. And it just starts on a different type of scale. Now we're more in the business of military insurrection and regime change, which you could argue is better than a global war between military powers on a national scale. I'm not advocating for one or the other. I'm just telling you that's where the United States mindset has been since post World War II.
Well, I would argue that the conditions for both world wars were unique, because you have to go back to, and I'll take it back to Napoleon after the fall, but specifically the age of colonialism from the 1880s to the 1910s. And a very unique, where you had a bunch of world powers. Instead of 1, 2, maybe 4 forces all competing, you had multiple factions competing, and they were expansive. And you know exactly what it does. It creates a powder keg in Europe, more specific. And then it spread out to the rest of the world.
You have to get to know about the reasons why Europe was that way, right?
Correct.
Like, Europe, legitimately, they didn't want to trade with each other because of the fact that, like, the next day they might be enemies, and you don't want to become reliant upon them for whatever manufactured good or whatever, thing that you were trading for. Right. And this is why they formed empires, and they went out, they colonized other places and brought stuff back to their home countries, manufactured it, and sold it all from there. That's the reason why, that you ended up having these individual countries become, France and Germany and Spain and, United Kingdom do what they did. That's really why, that's the reason why that happened. So the thing is World War I and II were actually a European civil war, is really what they were, short of that Japanese shit. But Japan really, let's be honest here, if it wasn't for the United States coming and opening them and causing, the Meiji fucking restoration and shit, like, they never would have fucking ended up expanding into fucking China and the rest of the world the way they had.
No, they were isolationists and had been since, I think, the Sengoku period, if I remember correctly. Or is it to talk about, because there was like 2 big points. There was in the 1500s and I think in the 1700s. It might have been
no. This is 18. This is the 1850s.
No, Tom. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about when the West opened up to them. I'm talking about when Japan locked down. Prove your point, Japan was isolationist.
Yeah.
Before the West came in and kicked open the door. Kind of same thing they did with China. The West came in and was like,
I believe that was the Sengoku period, and
Okay.
and yeah, the Japanese, kind of like the Chinese with Cantal, they were not open to doing trade with the West as far as having Western culture influence their own cultures. Because let's be blunt, the East have always been some prideful motherfuckers, and they don't want anybody coming in and shitting in their backyard.
well,
And the U.S. kind of said, "Hey, look at these big fancy ships with these big guns we have. What are you gonna do now? We're not the Mongols."
And on top of that, they were very wary about religion, right? Interfering with, you know what I'm saying, their society as a whole, right? They did not want individuals to stand here and pray to other gods, because it ended up causing, you know what I'm saying, disunion inside of their country, you know what I mean, and inside of their society. So they didn't want Christianity there in the Catholic Church as a whole with their ministries.
Oh, that's another good point that touches on. Sorry, real quick, Dip. Something that our generation doesn't remember, and let's be honest, not a lot of people study Japanese history anyways. Prior to the end of World War II, nobody had ever heard the Emperor's voice, and they still viewed him as a god. Let that sink in.
There's also a couple things that people have to know, because I love studying different histories of peoples. In China and Japan, both of the nations, or the expansion of nations, because there were multiple nations at one point, they had been at war for centuries. And in both situations where you had emperors, etc., come to power and unify the nations, and there was upheavals and uprisings, rebellions, and more. And so they locked everything down. The U.S. had the Monroe Doctrine, right? Also, you have to take into consideration with China, the Opium Wars, and what Britain and other powers were trying to do in China, and they were doping up the people, and they're like, fuck off. So that you had the Boxer Rebellion and such. So there's a lot that led to this. It wasn't just we hate the West just because. They had reasons for trying to protect their people.
Hey guys, it's been fun, but I gotta hop off. I gotta do that work shit I was talking about. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Brother. Yeah, thank you for stopping by.
Peace out, Excel. Have fun, dude.
Yep, later.
Have a good one.
All right. Yeah. You know, I mean, like, fucking, this is, you know, I mean, like, and again, like, we have to go into all these subjects all the time and get into minutia and get into the goddamn weeds with stuff, because of the fact that people don't understand how we got here and why we're here. Right. And that's, you know, that's something that's really important, that people just don't have any idea about, you know, I mean, like, the history behind stuff. Because if you understand the history of where we came from, you'll understand where we're heading much better. And that's a really fucking important point. You know, I mean, that, like, I think a lot of people miss, you know what I mean? It just really is. Like, fucking an aircraft, yo, man, like, yo, if you want to fucking hop in the stream, man, links in the Discord, you know the deal. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I don't mind getting into the weeds on the historical aspect of stuff and understanding, like, how we got to where we are today, because I think it's as important, if not more important, than anything else. Because in the end of the day, like, the driving forces of everything is always fucking financial. You know what I mean? Like, I've always believed, like, yo, if you follow the money, you will figure out where shit leads you. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we are today. You know what I mean? Like, and we have to get away from this MAGA boomer QAnon fucking shaman bullshit. You know what I mean? And, like, yo, get more towards, and we have to drag these people over here and explain this to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking important that we have these conversations with them and explain shit in a rational manner, and don't, you know what I mean, down talk them or don't side talk them or whatever the case may be. Go, hey, look, this is why this is the way it is. And I want y'all to have this information as well, so that you can stand here and share it with others. And when others go, man, where'd you learn all this shit? You go, Matt Tom B's, right? And fucking you come over here and they listen to my stuff, you know what I mean? And we can grow as a community as a whole. And I mean, we can spread them out to AP or wherever the case might be, and help everybody in our community grow and become better. And, you know what I mean, have everybody among us, you know what I'm saying, become a better individual, right? Like, it's fucking highly important. Like, we should not ever be following a shaman. It's 2020. Okay. You should not be following a shaman who wears Viking horns. All right, I'm going to let you know that right now. Anybody here who thinks somebody who wears Viking horns knows what the fuck is going on, you need to smack yourself upside the fucking head, because, you know what I'm saying, you might be retarded and you need to listen fucking closer.
I just love the Viking horns.
If he's gonna be a shaman, at least be like a druid or medicine man back in the day. They weren't looking all crazy.
I'm saying it's 20. Yes, they were, nigga. They had like animals on top of their heads and shit, and somehow they glued it down so the animal did not move the whole time. They were doing their head shaking, oh la 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 stuff.
You really think that? You really think that's how all of them look? When I say back in the day, I'm talking about ancestry. A lot of this shit's more common bullshit, man. This is a new era bullshit or reinterpretation of stuff. Like,
yo, this is like, yo, and why is Alex Jones giving these niggas a platform?
Of course it is. It
Like,
brings
wow.
views, bro. The man got to make money. it's like what Pac said about dope. Hey, I got to get paid. Well, that's the way it is. You know what some of these people do. Entertainment produces money and revenue. I ain't saying it's right. I'm just observing. I've seen it for years. People pay entertainers buku amounts of money, and then they complain about the income that they make. And I'm like, guys, how the fuck you think they have it? This doesn't just happen.
Speaking of which, the Streamlabs link's in the bottom if you want to hit that bitch and donate to the show. You know what I'm saying? Help the gorilla keep going and whatnot. Like, yo, man, look, I ain't above motherfucking, you know what I mean, taking my piece of this shit. You know, YouTube don't pay me a goddamn thing for being on here. Like, I make no ad revenue. I'm literally growing my platform legitimately just so I can stand here and like educate more people as we come through, because we need to move them away from this political garbage. Legit, like fucking, because I don't care about AOC. I don't care about Nancy Pelosi. I don't care about fucking Chuck Schumer. I don't give a fuck. All right. Legit. They're puppets in the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? All of them are bought and paid for, and we're a long goddamn time ago. It's not going to help to continue to shit on them. Legit. Like, what you're doing is, all right. So basically what you're doing is you're literally taking shots at scarecrows. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they're giving you a target and you're taking it, and then they're running off with all your fucking money. You know what I mean? You need to focus on the individuals who are really behind all this shit, which is the fucking people who run these giant ass corporations who are fucking paying for these assholes' campaigns.
As you said, follow the money. You expand your market, look for more resources in that market if you can, and a resource can be a human being. You know, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we need more gold or silver or trees or land or something. No, just keep these people alive so they buy our cheap shit. Hey, human beings are a resource. So expand your market, consolidate it, and then protect it. That's exactly what politics has become. They're protecting the market that's been expanded and consolidated. It's all about money.
It's that basic. Yo, Jim McIntosh, I don't know where you're getting your information, man. Legit. You need to like stop getting your information to these people. All right. Just fucking stop listening to whoever's telling you that Viking dude was an Antifa dude.
And people don't act like that. I'm just FYI.
Yo, like real, like, man, listen, like, y'all niggas stop listening to tards. Okay. It's fucking important. I'm trying to put out more content so that, like, yo, you can, you know what I mean, hear that, like, these things aren't true. And you can come here and ask these questions, and I will tell you, no, bad. Don't listen to these idiots because they're fucking retarded. All right, legit. There's too many morons out here with a goddamn voice. And, like, yo, they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear. And I'll tell you like this, I'm going to tell motherfuckers they're wrong, all right? Because I don't want you to have bad information. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that there weren't Antifa or BLM people in that MAGA crowd, but like, if you don't think that little old lady who was flying the MAGA flag while she was shuffling through the Capitol was legit a Trump supporter, then you're just fucking stupid.
Like, yo, Torsten, what up, my brother? How the fuck you doing? Nice to see you out here. Right? Like, yeah, man. Like, yeah, this is the problem. You know when you see a Trump supporter, all right? You see a guy with a Viking hat, all right, a bearskin fucking rug shirt, and, you know what I'm saying, he got, like, fucking American tattoos all over him. That nigga's a Trump supporter, okay? Legit. You gotta stop.
He was a voice actor, but, like, there are Trump supporter voice actors. I'm sorry to tell people. There are people who are voice actors who are Trump supporters.
Yeah, like that's just a profession. It doesn't mean he was hired there to be an actor. Like, no, that was a job. Like, he just showed up there because MAGA. Why the fuck not? Like, it's that simple.
Yo, I sent my girl out. I sent my girl out to go get fucking food and liquor earlier, and she came home with food. I am highly upset about that fact right now, or else I would be drunk with you. But then again, we wouldn't be having this great conversation. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, some shit. Really, I'd love to be fucking hammered at the moment. Like, yo, I was fitting on it. It's time to find out I don't have to work tomorrow. I don't work till fucking Tuesday. You know what I mean? Then I got to go drive a motherfucker around all day, and go and fucking, plumb things in basements and shit. Hook up goddamn fucking heating systems and all this stuff. I got shit to do. You know what I mean? Aircraft.
I will say that there are people who are putting a stupid amount of money into like voice mods and shit for Fallout New Vegas, and if you do not hire that dude who stormed the Capitol with a Viking helmet, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, I'm hoping that nigga gets like a Flavor of Love show or something.
Right. But at the very least, he needs a voice part in the Fallout New Vegas mods.
The house always wins, my brother. The house always fucking wins. So,
is my mic still working?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
you're fine.
you're
I can hear you.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to say in response to something Doku said earlier about humans being resources. But two things. One of them, if you go back to, you can say slavery, you go back throughout human history, breeding. Why? And you can say, well, more people, more resources used, but breeding, the ability to produce more food, the ability to conquer, the ability for more. So just cannon fodder, right? As well as what do you can say special agencies, human assets. You can train people in various skill sets. And I won't go into some of them because I don't know if Tom cares about for monetization or otherwise, but you can train people to be very useful tools in all kind of regards, in governments, in military, and in.
All right, yo, look, man, seriously. All right, I don't fucking care about the MK Ultra bullshit. All right, I really fucking don't right now. All right, that is not the goddamn point. You're not helping the conversation any. Resam, what up, man? How can you let a blatant pedo become president? Because the American people are irresponsible. I gotta unmute motherfucking dip real quick. Right, yo, nigga, stop talking about fucking MK Ultra. It's unnecessary.
I wasn't talking about MK Ultra. I was talking about human resources. Humans can be used as resources in a multitude of areas. That's all I was saying.
If you gave a shit about pedos being president, then where the fuck were you on Bush and Clinton?
It's a good point, but he looks like he's young in this picture, so he might not have been around for Bush or Clinton, right? Like, I didn't get to vote for Clinton, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't old enough. My first vote was for Bush, you know what I mean? And I voted for John Kerry, I'll be honest with you, because, like, at that point I was 18 and didn't know dick, you know what I mean? He said, I'm not even in America, pal. Like, I feel you. I'm just motherfucking like, I'm just, we just out here talking right now. Understand this. Okay. Legit. We're just, we're out here having a conversation, but like, yeah, like, understand, like, Joe Biden being a pedo is like the fourth thing wrong with him at the moment.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even going to lie. My first vote was for Obama, and I am not proud about that.
I voted Dr. Ron Paul in 2012, so that was the only time I voted.
In 2008, I voted Ron Paul.
2008, I voted Barack Obama. 2012, I voted Ron Paul. 2016, I voted Trump. Trump was the first person I voted for who actually fucking won.
Well, Resam, man, like, legit, like, your country never really had liberties to begin with. I mean, in the end of the day, like, in the UK, y'all don't even have a written constitution or a Bill of Rights. Well, you know what I'm saying? Well, all right, Resam, you're gonna have to go back and listen to all my subscribe to my channel, listen to all my content. We've been explaining this for a long time, legit. You know what I mean? Like, we understand, like, it's a global security guarantee, you know what I'm saying, which is everybody's trying to continue forward with.
Oh, real quick, just to touch on what you said about Joe Biden being a pedo is like only the fourth thing wrong with him. I agree with you. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But a bigger concern would be that this man is old enough and has enough mental health issues that he might wake up and think we're at war with the USSR again. Hey, that should be a bigger concern.
Exactly. And that's probably only the third thing wrong with him.
Well, like let me put this like this, Ceiling Demon. All right, let me put this way. Okay. So the corporations need open borders. All right. And I mean they need them. They have to have them. They have to have free trade throughout the world. And so the way that they defeat nationalist parties and individuals, you know what I'm saying, who go, hey, look, we want better jobs and, you know what I'm saying, we want less immigration so that we can have the opportunity to be able to compete for labor, right, is, you know what I'm saying, they stand here and, you know what I mean, they, fucking support left-wing parties, right? And they stand here and they pump up and they pump money into things like Antifa and BLM, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? Fucking all the other goddamn garbage agencies that they have, garbage fucking movements that they have so that they can unseat these type of fucking, you know what I mean? These nationalist fucking presidents. And then, you know what I mean? They go on a fucking tear of paying for advertising and paying for fucking things like CNN and MSNBC and CNN and fucking ABC. And, you know, whoever the fuck else they can find to sit here and speak bad against the fucking president and his fucking supporters, who they call a bunch of racist bigots. But the truth of the matter is, like, yes, there's vast amounts of people who are fucking bigoted and goddamn racist who hate fucking brown people. But the reality is like at the core of the fucking movement, it's the fact that individuals in the end of the day really just want to support their fucking family. You know what I mean?
Right. And the thing that people really don't want to fucking talk about, and you know, fucking, especially Dip knows that I'm the last person to simp for black people. But the people who have their wages affected most by the fucking Mexicans are black people.
Absolutely. That's why
like,
a lot of black people are pissed off. But anyways.
They weren't pissed off enough to fucking vote for fucking, you know what I mean, somebody other than the goddamn Democrats.
Well, Tom, you could argue if shit was rigged, once again, would shit change? Who knows?
Yes, like shit would change, like legit. Like if they gave
no. I'm saying were their votes
like if 40% of them said, "All right, we're sick of these fucking welfare policies that's fucking over our families and communities," you know what I mean? Legit, you know what I mean? Oh shit, my nigga Giga's here. What up, yo? What up, Giga?
What up, Giga?
You might notice I got a new profile picture.
What?
It's just George Floyd being a happy man.
You got your fentanyl there, boy.
Yeah, I'm hearing about the. I heard about the end of American freedom as we know it, and we're all gonna be fucked, and we're gonna be just watching the chaos now. So fucking like Mr. Medicare style.
Hope you got your powder dry, my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like legit. You got your powder dry, brother?
Not yet.
You should probably, you know what I'm saying, like have some ammo stacked up with some guns because they're probably going to ban the sale of ammunition. They're looking like that.
Well, to be fair, the black market is still a thing. Still, they haven't made it illegal yet. It was technically illegal, but they're still around.
Yeah, but the prices are still going to go up.
You do know there's this thing called robbery. Well, considering we're in the end times, and considering how lazy we Americans are, I'm still kind of doubting that.
Yeah. Well, Americans are worthless fucks in the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're too comfortable and fat and lazy.
And you wonder why I do not believe that anything will come of this capital shit.
Of course not.
Like nothing ever will.
They weren't armed people, so it doesn't matter.
Honestly, I did watch AB show, and I agree with what he says. Like I do actually agree pretty much almost entirely what he said. And isn't even like asking. I do genuinely believe that nothing will ever come out of it.
Well, Sam, you're also not going to have a revolution because your country doesn't have any firearms. So, like, that's a bit of an issue as well.
That too, but at the same time, like even if we had ammunition, we would not use it.
No, we're good. We have plenty of ammo, but Reese lives in the UK.
No, I mean like to the people who don't have ammunition or guns, they probably don't want it, and because they're probably too late to get a gun, considering you have to do like the paperwork and shit, and like no one wants to do that.
Yeah, I've done the paperwork 3 or 4 times. It's not a pain in the ass, but like, fucking, I don't know. I'm probably gonna. I got like 2 more guns I have to get yet. You know what I mean?
I maintain that the boog is gonna happen when
it ain't
fucking no. It's gonna happen when retarded Karens start rejecting fucking boomer goddamn welfare payments. It's going to be the dumbest shit.
That's being generous.
No.
That's being optimistic.
I don't think it is, because these Karens, they have like this ideological possession that I don't think many people
just
really
tell them liberals are managers.
Yeah, because they are the managers now. They are the people who are handing out the welfare checks, and they're going to just start.
We gotta call it the Karen Lou, or something like that.
Yeah. They're just gonna start fucking breaking out that red stamp, and they're going to piss off
cancel them, motherfuckers.
Yeah. They're gonna piss off a bunch of boomers. And then the boomers are just going to fucking raid the fucking local courthouses and just start shooting fucking judges. It's going to be glorious.
The boomers not about that life.
Okay.
Telling you.
All right, hang on. I gotta have this argument out with Ceiling Demon in the fucking chat real quick. All right, look. And here's what he said, so everybody can see what the fuck I'm saying at the moment. All right. So here's the deal. Okay. I've read The Wealth of Nations, and like legit, I've read fucking John Locke, and I've fucking stood here and read Adam Smith, and I've read fucking Keynes, and I've read, and I mean, like, I've gone through and I've read all these fucking books. Believe me, okay? Like, I fully have a firm grasp of what exactly I'm saying. Okay, my problem is this as a whole, okay, is that the American wage has not, the American labor and the American citizen has not shared in the fucking gains in production in the past 50 fucking years. All right. Production has gone through the roof, and Americans have not had a chance to share in the fucking values of that. That's my problem at the moment. The issue is that the cost of houses are $400,000, and the average take-home pay is $38,000 a year. All right, that is a fucking issue, and I'm not talking about like, fucking, they go, oh man, the fucking when they talk about like the fucking average fucking wage in America is like $56,000 or some bullshit like this. No, that's the amount of money for a family. All right, that's a household income. It's different than the take-home pay after fucking taxes and bullshit's deducted. Okay, it's $38,000 a year is the average take-home pay of an American citizen. Okay, we have not gotten a raise since 1978. And in order to get a raise, you have to fucking stand here and have the American labor force be able to negotiate for their fucking wages and not have to compete against the rest of the fucking world to do so. And you also have to stand here and not have the amount of fucking immigrants brought in every year to continue to drive down wages. Did you know in the recent stimulus package that they stood here and passed that they fucking decided to fucking up the amount of H-2B visas? Not H-1B, H-2B visas, which are there for fucking service workers for the fucking food industry to be able to work in the warehouses in the fields, right? Because, you know what I'm saying, companies like Tyson need more people to be able to go into their factories and do these jobs, even though 30% of America is out of work right now. This is the things that I'm talking about. I have a full grasp of fucking economics, but what you don't know is you fucking have no idea exactly what it is that I'm talking about. You need to shut the fuck up and understand that, look, I understand things as a whole. I get the fact that like we're supposed to have competitive world trade so that we don't end up getting blown out of the water on some shit. But the truth of the matter is we already have a lock on the upper end of fucking manufacturing and the upper end of design. Okay. And I understand that Mexico does fucking low to mid-level fucking assembly and motherfucking manufacturing. And we have a pretty good deal with them. Our largest trade partner is Mexico, believe it or not. Okay. And they're not going to give that up in our fucking lifetimes. What I'm saying is we don't have to continue to defend trade all across the fucking world to prop up fucking governments, all right, that are continuing to fucking grab our money and not give us anything back in return. It's that simple.
It sounds like this fuck has never actually applied for a job.
Well, the problem is like, yo, these shitheads legitimately, like, yo, they listen to guys like TFM and he goes, oh, well, da, right? And here's the thing. TFM has a degree in fucking accounting, all right? He's a fucking finance guy. So therefore, he doesn't have to go out into the regular labor force and compete with the rest of us. Okay? He goes and he does his fucking accounting thing for whoever the fuck he has to account for. And that's fine, okay, for some individuals. But for, you know what I'm saying, the 50% of Americans who don't go to fucking college, we need an opportunity to be able to pay to fucking survive. It's that fucking simple.
Fuck for the people who do go to college.
Well, to be fair, the COVID thing has kind of restricted some of the jobs. So some of the, like for example, like I was on the verge of going to this, like, well, not exactly a trade school, but like it's something to help me get to a trade school. Like a sort of program. However, the COVID thing, before I could be able to try to do that, the COVID thing hit, and I haven't been able to do it at all since. So as such, I haven't actually gotten to, or the very like some sort of trade school to me. COVID's also an issue as well.
Let me tell you about trade school post-COVID. Fucking everyone who got laid off. Almost everyone who got laid off during the COVID thing had some sort of job benefit so that they got to go to a trade school for, like, basically they got paid to go to a trade school while they got their unemployment. So in about a year and a half now, pretty much everyone who got laid off from any sort of manufacturing job is going to be coming back into the market with at least 2 years of education on top of whatever manufacturing experience they had. And so it is just going to be a complete and utter shit show, because there's going to be people with degrees in, you know, metallurgy, manufacturing, CNC, all that bullshit.
And some that are so used to unemployment that they don't want to go back.
You're not wrong, but I'm talking just like 100% on the job seeker side. These employers are going to be so used to seeing not only just 5+ years of experience, but 5 years of experience plus education, that the job market in the US is just going to be absolutely fucked.
It's already fucked.
You're not wrong.
Although it's going to be more fucked later on.
Yeah, I am saying that, like, every month that passes that you don't have a job, you are more likely to never have a job. Anyone who doesn't have a job, like me right now, and I'm sending out fucking applications every goddamn day. Every day that you don't have a job increases the likelihood that you will never have a job in whatever field that you have, regardless of how much education.
Let me address Dark Star in the chat too. Fucking, he said most government employees are overpaid compared to similar jobs in the private sector, and in most cases underworked. I used to be a state employee, and I can attest to that. He's not wrong. Legit. I'm gonna tell you like this: PennDOT employees make like $55,000 a year here.
Yep.
Right. And like this is from the jump. They're part of the union. They automatically every fucking year, like even their first year there, they get fucking 3 weeks fucking paid vacation, full fucking pay for fucking FMLA. And on top of that, they stand here and get fucking full paid fucking government benefits and all the fucking bullshit that goes with it, as far as like discounts and, you know, I mean, fucking all the extracurricular nonsense with 401ks and a pension package.
Yo, Tom, to further, you brought up about the whole protectionist thing, and I think you had a lot of great points. And you can correct me on the Roman Empire. But for this guy who was coming at you for being protectionist, look at American history, look at British history, look at the Roman history, and the rise of empires and how they became world powers.
And how they fell.
They protected their interests. It doesn't just happen before they could become this global power. This is how all nations do.
Well, no,
it's
it's really simple, right? Like, look, if we stop protecting fucking China's fucking trade routes and their fucking oil routes and their coal routes and all the shit that they do for inputs, right? You know what I'm saying? And tell them that's on y'all to protect that shit, right? Like, they starve tomorrow, right? You know what I mean? And this is the thing is like, we are propping them the fuck up. It's not like it's a fair fucking play for American companies. You know what I mean? Or for American workers and shit. American workers aren't propped up like that by the fucking government in the same fucking way that these cocksuckers are. You know what I mean? We're like, yeah, we get fucking cheap goods and shit. But like on the same point, our dollar continues to get devalued to pay for their fucking security apparatus. And I mean, and that's not fucking what it's supposed to be. It's that fucking simple. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is like, I don't want the security apparatus in fucking place anymore. I don't fucking care whether or not these individuals are able to go out and get their fucking goods. It's a basic fucking premise, right? And I don't want immigration anymore because I want the opportunity to have fucking housing prices go back down so that the rest of America has an opportunity to buy a fucking home. Is that so fucking hard? Like that I want American families and American workers to be able to afford their fucking homes and be able to afford their cars and be able to afford their shit and negotiate for proper wages with these companies so we can keep up and have an opportunity to make more money. Is that a wrong fucking thing for me to think?
No. See, Tom, you're a nationalist for thinking that. How dare you think of America first? Immigration.
Racist.
But there's nothing
Canceled.
wrong inherently with somebody being a nationalist and think of interest because there is pros and what people don't understand by the whole protectionist aspect, because I think that's a very key point in the world in which we're at, is there are pros and cons to everything. There is an equal and opposite reaction.
Hang on one second. Here's the thing, dude. I want to collapse the Keynesian central bank. I want to collapse it. And the only way you collapse it is by protecting the fucking citizens, right? If you can become protectionist on trade and close down your fucking borders, guess what? These cocksuckers have no ability to keep the Ponzi scheme going. It's that fucking simple. All right, legit. Here's the thing. I don't care if it collapses. What TFM wants and what you're talking about legit is just kicking the fucking can down the goddamn road. I'd love for it to collapse and the American people have the opportunity to make a come up. That's my mentality.
This dude Demon doesn't this is now I'm getting irritated by this dude because this dude clearly does not work in the fields of manufacturing, of manual labor, etc. And I have to educate people. People saying automation. Let me educate you about automation. It should. First of all, there's noise in the background from somebody.
I'm going to go with that's Giga. Yep, it was Giga. Okay.
Yeah, I just kept hearing it, and I didn't want it to be a distracting and pick up. But here's the thing about automation. Automation should aid in labor, right? It should be able to more produce. What automation is going to do, as what's always used by these companies and corporations and these big interests, is it replaces, it eliminates jobs. And you know what that does? More people out of work, more people in poverty. You're saying automation? No, that is not going to help. By the way, Doku a while said is going to be back a little bit later, by the way.
I know.
But yeah, you're going to eliminate people, which causes even more problems. Like Tom just said, you're kicking the can down the road towards collapse. This is basic history. People need to read history.
Yeah. The problem with automation in the modern day, more than anything, isn't that we got machines replacing people, because that's been a thing since we started getting the cotton gin, right? The problem with automation right now is the fact that it allows people to export jobs to China, which is, well, basically allowing people to export labor to slave labor. Like, automation has there are always negative consequences. I'm not going to say that's not a thing, but automation has a lot less of an impact if everything stays local.
Well, here's the thing about automation. If you go back to the first agricultural revolution and the second one, what did it do? Tom talks about urbanization, right? You go back to the first. What happened in Britain when all those rural kids, now because you had the machines that could cut down a fifth to a tenth, 5 to 10 people. So now all of them head to cities for opportunities. Cities become crowded. People are impoverished. And then you have what happens in London. And it's a continual cycle because it doesn't create new industries unless you have entrepreneurs and visionaries do this. It destroys industries. Again, I'm not opposed to technology, but it's how automation does it every single time. We've seen this for the last 300 years.
Yeah, you're not wrong that it does destroy industry, but like creative destruction at some point. Like, you need advancement at some point.
Oh yeah, but on the same point, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't automation that destroyed the steel industry, right?
Right.
What destroyed the steel industry is the fact that China was dumping steel because they paid fucking slave wages to their fucking workers, and they stood here and they paid for the electricity and the motherfucking inputs for all the steel manufacturing in China, and they dumped it for next to nothing on our fucking shores.
Correct.
You know, that's what destroyed shit. And I mean, this is the shit that I'm talking about. And like, when you put one thing out, and this is the problem with like saying, oh, it's automation, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not automation that, fucking stood here and killed the manufacturers of fucking door locks and, fucking thermostats and, fucking tools and shit. It's not automation that killed all this shit, right? 35 to 40K insulating. Well, like, Ceiling Demon, here's the thing. If you didn't have to compete with Mexicans for those fucking wages, legit, you'd make fucking $80,000 or $90,000 a year. It's like, this is the fucking problem, right? And this is, really the big fucking issue. And I feel you, like, again, like, I'm gonna go do HVAC work this week. I've done your fucking job. Legit. You know what I mean? I've done your job. I've fucking probably done damn near everybody's job in this fucking chat. At one point in my fucking life. And like, I was a steel worker. I was in logistics. You know what I'm saying? Like, I fucking did managing and shit. And like, yeah, fucking Ceiling Demon, I feel you. I ended up with heavy metal poisoning as a fucking welder and shit. I got you. Like, I know the demand that all this shit takes, right?
Yeah, I legitimately envy HVAC people, because I don't think I have seen a single time when someone has been unhappy that the air conditioning guy showed up.
I know that's right.
Feel you. Like, and again, like, fucking, like, I can do all these type of things. I can plumb, I can do all this shit. I don't like heights. So like, it's a kind of out of the goddamn question for me, climbing on fucking roofs, working on motherfucking, working on fucking coils and shit. And, fucking air units and whatnot on top of restaurants and, fucking buildings and shit. It's just not something I like fucking doing. But I can go and, work in a fucking basement all fucking week and make some fucking cash so I can pay for this fucking doctor's appointment on Friday so I can stand here and get back to doing what it is that I actually do for a living, which is fucking driving. You know what I mean? And I can get me a local job and be home every day and work out and do all the shit that I'm supposed to do to maintain my body and, my health that I need to do. That's really where it's at.
Stop being a fat piece of shit, Tom. Hey.
I feel you, man. Like, but sitting on your fucking ass driving down the road is not a fucking good way to, fucking earn a living as far as health is concerned.
Yeah.
Not a lot you can do to make that situation better. When you're over the road, fucking driving to goddamn Chicago every fucking week, like, it ends up, taking a fucking toll on your body because you can't exercise after a fucking 13-hour day of fucking driving, and you get to a goddamn fucking, parking spot on the side of the road somewhere. Like, what are you going to do? Take out and take a walk on the fucking freeway?
Most jobs today, I would, and you could say throughout human history, but I would say today are not. People talk about being health conscious. Most of them are not good for your health. I've worked a lot of different ones. They don't help with your health. alcoholism goes up depending on the stress level. If you're in an office job,
That's
you
about
don't move.
You know what I mean? Like, if
Oh
you
no,
have
no,
an
I
alcohol
agree.
problem,
No. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not an
Then
alcoholic.
there's also injuries and
Injuries.
and don't even be started on like some of them that involve like labor, especially if your body isn't as prepared for all the manual labor, especially in construction.
Yep.
Yep.
But
Yep.
office jobs, people sit on their ass all day, and you can say, "Oh, you just work at." No, man. Those jobs literally atrophy starts to happen to muscles and shit. I'm talking about the holistic of it, and that's what I
Even if
mean
you
by
have a
most of
standing
these
desk.
jobs aren't healthy. People are like, "Oh,
And
but
that's
you
why
can make all
job
this
bad.
money. You can make all this money, but then you're going to be when you're 50, 60, 70 years old on a bunch of medication, on terrible life support, not
You're gonna
being
be
able
spending
to
all that
enjoy your
money.
money." What'd you say?
You're going to be spending all that money on your medical bills.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, like, yo, all those fucking tire jobs in Ohio we used to have, where, like, you know, we stood here and like we made like all the world's tires for a long goddamn time. Like, yeah, again, like fucking Asian companies, and they stood here and took massive amounts of money from their fucking governments, and you know, what I mean, they ended up undercutting the fucking cost for Americans, and that's how we got pushed out of them. Like, understand something, like, yo, it was never fair trade. It was fucking
Hell
countries.
no.
It was us versus whole countries, right? It was companies versus whole other countries, and they got beat because, like, yo, you can't compete if a government's willing to dump fucking money into a fucking industry. You know what I mean? And our American government isn't willing to do so. And I'm fine with our government not doing that. But on the same point, you can't allow individuals to fucking, you know what I mean, access the world market using our fucking military apparatus. It's that basic. You know what I mean? This is not
Hasn't
about
that been done since the 20s and 30s? Because I think Germany did it. Just nations kind of quote unquote helping
Later,
their
Dark
industries.
Well, no, you know what I mean? Like, fucking Germany did it, you know what I mean? Because, well, you know, they were fucking broke and they had no choice, right? Europe has done this a whole bunch, but America never had to fucking do this. Like, believe it or not, like, most American roads were built by private industry up until probably the 1930s.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but that's really where shit's at, you know what I mean, as a whole. You know, like, you have to understand, like, it's a different fucking mentality when you're talking about free trade versus, you know what I mean, like, you're competing against communists.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're not wrong, because communist means slave labor.
Yeah. You know, so, like, what are you going to do when you have a company who's willing to fucking foot the bill for, or the country that's willing to foot the bill for all the electricity needs of a fucking steel mill? You know what I mean? And they're just going to come and dump their fucking products for nothing on your shore. How the fuck are you going to compete with that? And what up, baby? My nigga? Like, yo, look, but I'm gonna tell you what, yo, it's been like 2 hours. I'm ready to shut this bitch down. I just want to put some content out today. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank TK Mal, Doku, Lord Giga, Dip 1000, my nigga Excel, and everybody in the chat who came out, you know what I'm saying, and supported the channel. Make sure you all hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You know the deal. Make this fucking channel grow. Get this message out there. Hit the Streamlabs link and donate.
This channel might not be around longer concerning the tech censorship.
Yeah, don't worry, man. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure something out.
And I was just saying to the chat, this might not be around much longer because of all the tech shit.
Yeah, and I am glad that AP has his teeth back.
Yeah, man, it's fucking nice. You know what I mean? By the way, hit me up, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what's going on with that thing we're supposed to be doing. I'm gonna holla at y'all motherfuckers later.
Does the teeth, is it pearly whites as pearly as Mr. Floyd here? All right, bye everybody.
Yo, peace. We like all my